Yellen froze, the air turned thick, almost alive with static. The chamber behind the vault hissed wider, its seals reluctantly releasing with ancient groans, as if protesting the awakening of something never meant to return. Cold vapors spilled out in waves. Yellen raised his sidearm, its charge cycle stuttering as if sensing the presence of something beyond its design. Rourke backed away slowly, eyes locked on the shadows forming within. They never told us there were two, he said, voice trembling for the first time. Just her, just the harbinger. Yellen moved closer, instincts screaming, but curiosity overriding fear. As the vapor cleared, another pod came into view, but this one was different. Organic plating covered parts of its surface, almost like it had grown rather than been built. Embedded in the center of the pod was a shattered insignia Earth Force. Twisted and defaced, inside floated a humanoid figure, skin etched with fractal-like markings, eyes shut but twitching beneath the lids. It was neither human nor machine. Then its eyes opened pitch black, reflecting nothing. The pod lit up with warnings. Containment breach imminent. Memory core degraded. Subject status unstable. What is it? Yellen whispered. Rourke whispered. It was the original. Project Apex. The figure's eyes locked with Jallen's. Something passed between them, a flash. A memory, not his own. A city drowning in light. People screaming without sound. A voice whispering a single sentence. Over and over, the war never ended. It just forgot itself. Suddenly, alarms blared through the facility. External sensors triggered multiple breaches. Incoming lifeforms fast, converging. Not human. Jallen turned to Rourke. How many? Dozens, maybe more. They're not here. To negotiate, the Harbinger's pod began to thaw. Her eyes fluttered open, pale and sharp. She looked at Yellen and exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for centuries. You saw it, she said softly. You touched the forgotten truth. Yellen couldn't speak. His mind reeled with the images still crackling behind his eyes. He felt her step out of the pod, barefoot on the metal floor, body emitting faint blue light. You don't remember what they buried, she said, but I do. I was there when the war turned backwards. When time folded, when Earth erased its own failure. What are they? Yellen asked, voice raw. What's coming? They're not enemies, she replied. They're witnesses. The door exploded inward, revealing creatures shaped like machines but moving like beasts, eyes glowing white-hot, bodies slick with alien alloy. But they didn't attack. They stopped watching, waiting. Then one spoke, its voice made of layered frequencies. We remember. Yellen stepped forward. Remember what? Bing replied, what Ertz tried to forget. Suddenly, the Apex's pod cracked open with a shriek of metal and flesh. The figure within stepped out taller than human, faced, unreadable, and when it spoke, it was in Jallen's voice. We were the first. You were the second. The cycle has failed. Rourke whispered. Oh God, it's him. It's you. Yellen blinked. What are you talking about? The Apex stared at him. You were made for me. Cloned. Implanted. Reset. The Harbinger stepped between them. We don't have time. If you kill him, the cycle starts again. If you don't, the truth survives. Yellen shook his head. What truth? She touched his forehead, and suddenly the world tilted. He saw Earth from orbit, watched an entire city blink out of time, then watched humans blame aliens for something they did to themselves. He saw secret councils, prototype experiments, time collapse, then a decision. Bury the evidence, and make copies of the witnesses. The war had never been about survival. It had been about silence. Then everything shook. Missile impacts from above. The enemy had tracked them here, not aliens. Earth fleet, a voice boomed through the comms facility. Eco 7 is compromised. Initiate orbital cleansing. Rourke screamed. They're going to wipe us out. Yellen grabbed the Harbinger's hand. How do we stop this? You don't, she said, but you can remember. The Apex lunged toward Yellen, and the ceiling began to collapse. Yellen froze. The air turned thick, almost alive with static. The chamber behind the vault hissed wider, its seals reluctantly releasing with ancient groans, as if protesting the awakening of something never meant to return. Cold vapors spilled out in waves. Yellen raised his sidearm, its charge cycle stuttering as if sensing the presence of something beyond its design. Rourke backed away slowly, eyes locked on the shadows forming within. They never told us there were two, he said, voice trembling for the first time. Just her, just the Harbinger. Yellen moved closer, instinct screaming, but curiosity overriding fear. As the vapor cleared, another pod came into view, but this one was different. Organic plating covered parts of its surface, almost like it had grown rather than been built. Embedded in the center of the pod was a shattered insignia Earth Force. Twisted and defaced, inside floated a humanoid figure, skin etched with fractal-like markings, eyes shut but twitching beneath the lids. It was neither human nor machine. Then its eyes opened pitch black, reflecting nothing. The pod lit up with warnings. Containment breach imminent. Memory core degraded. Subject status unstable. What is it? Yellen whispered. Rourke whispered. It was the original. Project Apex. The figure's eyes locked with Jalen's. Something passed between them, a flash. A memory, not his own, a city drowning in light. People screaming without sound. A voice whispering a single sentence. Over and over, the war never ended. It just forgot itself. Suddenly, alarms blared through the facility. External sensors triggered multiple breaches. Incoming lifeforms fast, converging. Not human. Jalen turned to Rourke. How many? Dozens, maybe more. They're not here. To negotiate, the Harbinger's pod began to thaw. Her eyes fluttered open, pale and sharp. She looked at Yalen and exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for centuries. You saw it, she said softly. You touched the forgotten truth. Yalen couldn't speak. His mind reeled with the images still crackling behind his eyes. He felt her step out of the pod, barefoot on the metal floor, body emitting faint blue light. You don't remember what they buried, she said, but I do. I was there when the war turned backwards. When time folded, when Earth erased its own failure. What are they? Yalen asked, voice raw. What's coming? They're not enemies, she replied. They're witnesses. The door exploded inward, revealing creatures shaped like machines but moving like beasts, eyes glowing white-hot, bodies slick with alien alloy. But they didn't attack. They stopped watching, waiting. Then one spoke, its voice made of layered frequencies. We remember. Yalen stepped forward. Remember what? Bing replied, what Ertz tried to forget. Suddenly, the Apex's pod cracked open with a shriek of metal and flesh. The figure within stepped out taller than human, faced, unreadable, and when it spoke, it was in Jalen's voice. We were the first. You were the second. The cycle has failed. Rourke whispered. Oh God, it's him. It's you. Yalen blinked. What are you talking about? The Apex stared at him. You were made for me. Cloned. Implanted. Reset. The Harbinger stepped between them. We don't have time. If you kill him, the cycle starts again. If you don't, the truth survives. Yalen shook his head. What truth? She touched his forehead, and suddenly the world tilted. He saw Earth from orbit, watched an entire city blink out of time, then watched humans blame aliens for something they did to themselves. He saw secret councils, prototype experiments, time collapse, then a decision, bury the evidence, and make copies of the witnesses. The war had never been about survival. It had been about silence. Then everything shook. Missile impacts from above. The enemy had tracked them here, not aliens. Earth fleet, a voice boomed through the comms facility. Eco 7 is compromised. Initiate orbital cleansing. Rourke screamed. They're going to wipe us out. Yalen grabbed the Harbinger's hand. How do we stop this? You don't, she said, but you can remember. The Apex lunged toward Yalen, and the ceiling began to collapse. Yalen dove as the ceiling buckled, steel beams collapsing in a storm of fire and stone. Rourke grabbed his arm, pulling him behind a crumbling support column. Dust choked the air. Explosions rumbled overhead. Earth fleet orbital cannons targeting the very facility they once controlled. Through the chaos, Yalen saw the Harbinger standing still, head tilted back, blue light spiraling from her body like tendrils. Around her, the watching creatures didn't flinch. Instead, they knelt. That the Apex emerged from the fire, unburned, unmoved. Its eyes were fixed on Yalen, like a hunter who recognized prey and itself at once. You are me, it said calmly, but you are broken. Yalen shouted over the destruction. Then tell me what I was meant to do. You were meant to forget, the Apex replied. That was the only way they could hide what we did. More blasts tore through the chamber. Fire raced along the floor. Rourke's rifle was gone. He looked at Yalen with wild eyes. We have to leave. We need an exit now. The Harbinger turned, voice cutting through the noise like a blade. No, you don't run. You listen. Yalen stared at her, blood trickling down his temple. To what? To everything they didn't want you to hear? She lifted her hand and suddenly the room changed. Time snapped. Jalen was standing on the bridge of an Earth fleet command ship. It was clean, bright years earlier. Through the viewport, Earth, whole and beautiful. A voice behind him, his voice, speaking. We're not ready. You can't deploy it yet. Another voice, sharp and cold. General Ashira Del Guido, we don't have a choice. If they reach orbit, we lose Earth. Activate Project Apex. Yalen turned. He wasn't in his own body. He was inside someone else. The original, the one who had protested, who had warned them. Ashira's hand hovered over the panel. We erased the enemy and anything that remembers they existed. Then came the light. Blinding, endless. Cities turned to static. Not destroyed, erased. Jalen snapped back into the collapsing vault. He gasped. The Harbinger's hand still rested on his forehead. Rourke lay unconscious nearby. The Apex knelt now, twitching, its voice static-filled. They wiped them out. Yalen muttered. Not aliens, people our own. The Harbinger whispered. Millions, gone, because they found something Earth couldn't control. A beam of light sliced through the roof teleport beacon. Earth fleet was deploying. Jalen stood. Why bury the truth? Why clone us? To rewrite history, she said. They couldn't erase the failure unless they controlled the memory. So they made new versions of those who questioned the plan. You, Rourke, me, broken pieces, echoes. And then they locked us away. Yalin looked at the apex, now writhing, and him. He's the core, she said, unedited, too dangerous to wake. Until now, dozens of dropships roared overhead. The creatures who had once knelt were now rising. They stepped between the vault and the approaching threat. Yolin turned to the Harbinger. Can we stop them? No, she said, but we can tell the world what really happened. How? There's a relay, she said, deep below. Buried under the ice layer, designed to broadcast proof to every remaining node across the colonies. They tried to delete it, but I locked it behind your DNA. Yalin blinked. My DNA, because you were the last human who refused to fire. Another blast rocked the vault, then a voice crackled through the internal comms. Commander Ward. This is Earthfleet Command. You are trespassing in a restricted black zone. Surrender immediately. The Harbinger looked at him. If you respond, they'll triangulate. If you run, they'll hunt you. But if you send the truth, the world will never see them the same again. Yalin nodded. He walked to the console beside the apex. A memory trigger. DNA lock. The final key. His hand hovered above it. Then a whisper from behind. Don't do it, Rourke said. Awake now, eyes filled with fear. You think they'll believe you? You think humanity wants to know? Yolin hesitated. Tell me, he said. What did you remember, Rourke? Rourke didn't answer. Yolin stared at him. What did you help them cover up? The Harbinger's eyes widened. Yalin turned to Rourke fully. You're not a copy, are you? Rourke's silence broke. His voice dropped to a cold monotone. I never was. Then he drew a hidden blade and lunged. Yolin sidestepped, barely avoiding the blade as it sliced through his coat. The blade sparked against the floor, and Rourke's eyes gleamed no longer just fearful, but calculated, ancient. Yalin stumbled back toward the console. The Harbinger moved too, lifting her hand, but Rourke slammed his fist into a panel on the wall. Magnetic fields surged, pinning her with invisible force. I told you, Rourke hissed. You woke up too early. Yalin steadied his breath, raising his sidearm. You're not Rourke. What are you? The man smirked. I was never part of your memory loop. I was the monitor. Inserted to keep the vault sealed. You weren't supposed to wake up. Not without orders. The apex groaned behind them, struggling to rise. Its voice distorted, broken by feedback. You betrayed the lock. Yalin glanced at the console, its screen flickering with countdowns. One blinking line read, Relay integrity, 92%. He needed time. He needed answers. You were supposed to keep us down here, Yalin said. Watch us rot. I was supposed to make sure the truth never got out, Rourke replied, advancing. But the apex stirred first. The Harbinger sent signals. And you, stubborn clone that you are, always, had to know more. Jalen's mind reeled. How many times has this happened? Rourke paused. This is iteration 72. The words hit like a bomb. Yolin blinked. What? Rourke continued. 72 cycles. 72 partial awakenings. 72 failures to bury the past completely. You always remember something. She always finds a way to reach you. And I always stop it. But this time, something's changed. She triggered the apex. Why now? Yalin asked. Rourke's smile vanished. Because Earth's about to do it again. Jalen's stomach dropped. Do what? Another purge. Another clean reset. You think the war ended? They're gearing up for the next version. Cleaner. Simpler. With no inconvenient survivors. The Harbinger shouted from behind the magnetic hold. Voice strained. Yolan, don't let him. Stall you the relay. Rourke threw a small black orb. It burst into a cloud of dampening particles, clinging to circuitry, scrambling signals. The console's screen began to flicker violently. Yalin lunged to shield it, shouting, Override. Priority Alpha Ward 79. Stuttered but held. Relay integrity. 68%. He turned toward the Harbinger. Can I still send it? Yes, she gasped. If you fuse with the apex. What? She struggled against the field. You're fragmented copies of one source. Alone, the system rejects you. Together, you're whole. You are truth. Yalin looked at the apex, who now sat in silence, eyes fixed on him. It did not attack. It waited. I don't want to be it. Yalin whispered. You already are. The apex said, standing. I was your warning. You were their weapon. Yalin stepped forward, unsure, his mind blurring between fear, fury, and the pull of something deeper recognition. Rourke screamed, charging again, but this time, the Harbinger broke through the field with a roar. Light surged from her hands, blasting Rourke across the room. He hit the wall hard, metal piercing his side. He didn't move. Jalen reached the apex. Its hand extended. They touched, and the world fell away. His memory's fragments. He saw the first order, the first launch, the first purge. His hand on the trigger. Cities gone, families erased. Then the protest, the refusal, the punishment, memory splitting, cloning, reassignment. His life was a lie. His resistance, manufactured. The truth wasn't that he had forgotten, it was that they forced him to. His eyes opened. The apex was gone. He stood alone no longer, Yalin no longer the original, but something between. The console flared identity. Verified. Full signature restored. The relay countdown resumed. 8%. 6%. The Harbinger reached him. You did it. Finish it. Let them all see. A final warning echoed across the internal comms. Earth Fleet, command. Final cleansing strike, in T-minus 60 seconds. Yalin placed his hand on the pad. He felt the surge of memory pulse outward like a nova. Images. Data, testimonies, the entire buried war. The purges, the clones, the cover-ups, the truth, broadcast in progress. He smiled. Then the ground split open beneath them. And something rose from beneath. The relay, something vast, with wings of fractured alloy and a human face made of screaming light. The thing that emerged from beneath the relay was not alive in any human sense. It pulsed with a rhythm older than war, a fractured ghost built from every lost soul the truth had tried to silence. Wings unfolded massive plates of broken satellites. Weapons grafted into bone-like struts, light leaking from seams in its chest where forgotten memories boiled in unending agony. Its face Yalin saw himself, not the clone, not the soldier, but the original, the one who pulled the first trigger and died for it again and again across 72 iterations. The Harbinger backed away, eyes wide with horror and awe. It's a fragment echo, she whispered, a memory that learned how to exist. Yalin couldn't move. The spectral titan hovered above the shattered vault, its voice a chorus of human and alien screams. You called the witness. The witness remembers. All around the facility, the creatures once silent, now revealed as time-locked custodians of truth knelt again. This time in fear. Earth Fleet's final cleansing strike blared across the emergency channel. T-minus 30 seconds. No response detected. Orbital cleanse will proceed. Rourke's body twitched. Metal slid from his flesh, like threads unraveling a machine. He hadn't died, he was rebooting. Yalin turned to the Harbinger. Can't stop the strike, she said, but we can send the witness beyond it. Yalin shook his head. We'll never reach the upper relays in time. You won't, she said softly, but I can, if I interface with it. He grabbed her arm. It'll kill you. No, it'll remember me. I was part of it once. Yalin hesitated, his mind torn between instinct and memory. Then something clicked. The relay console flashed. Alternate transmitter detected. Biological link verified. The Harbinger turned to the witness. I remember the children you erased, the futures you swallowed. I remember why you were built. The witness turned its gaze to her. It stopped moving. Let me carry the truth, she said. Let me show them what you were forced to hide. The sky cracked. A beam of light began to form in the heavens. Earth's final weapon, warming to erase the past. Jalen took her hand. If you do this, what happens to me? She smiled. You survive. You're the reminder. The Harbinger stepped into the light of the witness. It enveloped her like a storm of voices, data, and pain. She didn't scream. She became part of it, her blue light mingling with the red-gold chaos. Yalin screamed her name, but the moment was gone. The witness burst upward like a comet, smashing through the surface, climbing into the sky in seconds. It ascended directly into the cleansing beams just as Earth fired. The heavens exploded. From orbit, Earth Fleet registered total target loss. Vault destroyed. Relay gone. Threat neutralized. They turned back toward Earth, unaware of what had truly happened. Beneath the ruins, Yalin lay buried under debris, breath shallow. The air was thick with silence and ash. Then static. A crackle from the neural mesh implanted deep in his mind. A voice. They'll come for you now, but not to kill you, to ask you why. His own voice. No, not his, hers, echoing from wherever. The witness had gone. Jalen crawled free, bloodied, exhausted, but alive. And as he stood beneath a sky filled with smoke and fire, the stars above began to blink. All of them, one by one. Receiving. The truth had been sent. Then, far to the west, in a place where no signal was supposed to reach, a tower lit up. A listening post. Decommissioned. And deep within it, someone whispered, "He's awake," and pressed a button. Something stirred beneath the earth once more. The cold wind swept over the ruins, blowing ash and memories through the twisted remains of Vault Eco 7. Yalin stood alone beneath the scorched sky, boots scraping against glassified metal. Above, the witness was gone, vaporized in light, or ascended into something beyond understanding. But the truth had escaped. He could feel it in the way the stars no longer looked empty. He staggered toward the fractured ridge, overlooking the collapsed relay site. His neural implant buzzed faintly, static laced with fragments, echoes of voices, images of things that hadn't yet happened. Her voice, soft, firm, was the loudest. Remember who they erased. Be their voice. A low rumble broke his trance. From the far horizon, Earth Fleet dropships approached, sleek black arrowheads cutting across the golden dusk. Too late to stop the broadcast, but early enough to begin containment. Jalen activated the backup beacon. It pulsed once, weak but functional. He wasn't going to hide. Not now. The world deserved to know what it had buried. His only hope was to survive, long enough to make them listen. A flash. Movement behind him. He spun sidearm raised, but it wasn't a soldier, it was a child, or something like one. A small figure stood among the ruins, clothed in strange, shifting material. Eyes silver, watching. It tilted its head. Spoke. You changed the cycle. Yalen lowered his weapon slowly. Who are you? The child didn't answer. Instead, it walked toward the broken console, stepped over Rourke's ruined frame, and touched the melted terminal. Data flowed glitches smoothing. Light pulsed once. Then the console went dark. Did you see it? Yalen asked. The child nodded. I was made too. The next generation always watches the one before. A chill ran through him. You're part of them? I'm the result of them. It replied. Version 173. Born in the silence you broke. More dropships closed in. The looked skyward, heart pounding. They'll try to stop this. Again. No, the child said. They'll pretend to explain it. That's worse. Yalen sat against the scorched hull of the relay. His muscles ached. His mind burned with too many lives. The Harbinger was gone. The Apex was gone. And yet, they weren't. He carried them. He was them. The child approached. There's a place they don't know about. A vault under the Atlantic, sunk after the first erasure. You'll find answers there. Why me? Yalen asked. Because your mind holds more than memory, the child said. It holds the key. Yalen didn't understand, but something inside him did. Like an instinct he didn't know he had. Suddenly leaning forward, whispering, You've done this before. The sky roared. Earth fleet dropships descended, engines screaming. Troops in black X-armor rappelled down, forming a perimeter. Red lights painted the ruins. Dozens of rifles locked on. A voice boomed through amplified speakers. Hands on your head. You are under arrest for treason against Earth Command. Yalen stood slowly. The child was gone. He raised his hands, but not in surrender. In defiance, the lead officer approached. Weapon drawn. Name. Yalen looked him in the eye. You know who I am. You've buried me 72 times. The soldier hesitated. A flicker of recognition, then confusion, then fear. Yalen leaned forward. Tell your masters, the war isn't over. Behind him, the relay flickered back to life for a single second. File confirmed. Signal echo detected on 14 colony worlds. Yalen smiled. Then the sky tore open again. Not from Earth, fleet, but from something far older. Far colder, and this time, it wasn't coming to erase. It was coming to ask, why did you lie? The sky cracked like glass, and from the fractures poured a darkness so ancient it didn't belong to stars or space, it belonged to memory. Ships, if they could be called that, descended in absolute silence. Shaped like inverted cathedrals, lit by veins of frozen lightning. Earth fleet panicked. Orders were barked, weapons raised, formations scattered. But it was too late. Jalen didn't flinch. He stood at the heart of it, the broken relay at his back, the whole world on edge. The air turned heavy, like gravity had shifted its allegiance. From the lead alien ship, a figure emerged, tall, faceless, its cloak moving like smoke across time. It walked past Earth fleet soldiers as though they didn't exist. Their weapons failed. Their voices died in their throats. The entity stopped in front of Yalen and bowed. The world held its breath. Jalen, bruised and bloodied, looked into the blank mask. You saw the signal, he said. The being spoke without sound. Words bloomed. In Jalen's mind, like thoughts he didn't author. We did not forget, but we waited for your kind to remember. Behind the alien, more of the strange ships landed, not with violence, but with ritual. From their hulls emerged more figures. Not soldiers, not invaders, witnesses. Every one of them bore symbols Yalen had seen before in the flashbacks, in the vault walls, etched into the Apex's skin. These were not the enemies Earth once claimed had been erased. These were survivors of Earth's first betrayal. You lived, Yalen said, the words bitter and hollow. The figure nodded. Pieces, hidden in folds of time, buried in loops. You broke the cycle. A scream cut through the wind. Earth fleet's commander stormed forward, weapon raised. This is a hostile act. Step back or we will retaliate. The alien didn't move, but the ground beneath the commander turned to ash. Just ash. Jalen didn't even blink. You've come for justice, he said. No. The being replied, we came to see if you finally knew why we mourned. Jalen's voice broke. I do. But being extended its hand, and Yalen saw it, truly saw it. All of it. The war hadn't started with invasion. It had started with fear. The colonists who found the first species didn't report it. They erased it. Buried it. Then when others discovered the secret, they buried them too. Earth had built its empire on forgetfulness, on carefully rewritten versions of truth. Yalen had once helped them do it. That was the pain. The real weight. He hadn't just refused to pull the trigger, he had once invented it. The Harbinger had tried to stop him. That's why she'd been erased first. Then the rest of them, anyone who remembered the original sin. I killed history. Yalen whispered. The being lowered its hand. You remembered. That is enough. Earth fleet retreated in silence, outnumbered, overwhelmed. They didn't fire. They didn't even speak. because in that moment they knew they weren't the apex of anything. A portal opened behind the lead alien. It looked like torn light wrapped around a scream. "You want me to come?" Yalin asked. "No," the being said. "You already have. You were always one of us. You just didn't know what we were." The portal pulsed once. Yalin turned, looked at the smoking Earth ships, the broken soldiers, the black sky dot. Then he stepped through. On Earth, hours later, the first full broadcast of the relay went live. Every screen flickered. Every device, every node on colonies, fleets, and off-world stations suddenly filled with images of purged cities, vanished civilizations, and voices of those long thought destroyed. Earth's population screamed. Some refused to believe it. Others fell to their knees. Riots broke out. Uprisings lit the night, and in the center of it all, one phrase kept echoing from the feed spoken in Jalen's voice. Over and over, "We buried the truth. Now it's clawing its way back." Far beyond the edge of colonized space, in a place where light had never been mapped, Yalin stood before a mirror that wasn't a mirror. It showed not just who he was, but who he had been across 72 lifetimes. The Harbinger's voice reached him, softer now, more human. This time, they listened. "What will you do next?" Yalin didn't answer, because behind him, another vault opened, and this one still had survivors.